Okay, hello and welcome, and we're going to have a look at the Insta360 Studio 2022, which you need to use to be able to edit your video files, which are quite bulky, and well, they can be. 29 minutes is usually around 12 gig, and I'm currently editing my trip to Thailand, which is a big task. I'll show you the files we have. So these are the files on my computer. They are consisting of two actual files. One is your INSF file, and the other one is your LRB file. You get the preview. Now you can obviously just click on the actual file and it will double click on it and it will load. So if we take a 12 gig one there, which is that one, you can see that it's it actually is 29 minutes and 1 second, so that's 12 gig. Right, what we're going to do is load the program, providing of course you have it loaded on your computer, which obviously will be covered in the other video, how to install it. The icon is on your screen, double click, loads up, hopefully. There we go. Latest version 4.60. Then this is the screen that we get. So it's basically plain. You don't get any other options until you load up a file. Now you can obviously open up the directory that you want to do and load it up that way, or you can simply drag and drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop the INSV file onto the program application. And then you get several things. You get the timeline down the bottom. Now there are several things that you need to do straight away. But the things that I do straight away is make the volume so you can hear it. And I then go up to the zoom button here and I will zoom in probably about that much. Because when you're doing keyframes, it's actually quite difficult to see where you are on the timeline. Now, first things that I do when I get the file loaded is I come over to project management and I will rename my project, because every single file is called project 1. So my file will be TA10 day 7, and this is part 11. Press enter, and then the second thing that I do is you have to do this every single time. Direction lock. This means that when you move the camera around, it will follow you. So if you're following yourself and you move the camera, it will continue to follow you around. Otherwise, what it will do, if it's facing this direction and you move, obviously the camera, you will not move the direction that you're facing in. Okay, so how do we edit this? Very simple. Keyframe, you have several options here, which is a default appearance. Not used that. Crystal ball, I've not used that one yet. I have used this one, Tiny Planet, and I'll show you an example of that now. And then of course the last one, which is natural view, which I particularly like to use. Now you have to click this every single time. There's no default, so it won't default to natural view, if you move the display and try and click a keyframe, it will not have it set. Unless, of course, you're lucky and look, these settings here are actually what they are now. If they are, then this will be highlighted. For example, if I just press play and then I click a keyframe, you'll see that the setting is set. If I click the keyframe again, that keyframe disappears. So for example, if I have moved keyframe, natural view, and then I click keyframe again, it will go back to where it was before I moved the display. Very, very annoying. Anyway, and what we'll do is, this is only a very short clip, 4 minutes. So we'll do the whole thing and then we'll show you the outcome of it. So some more icons. We have this one up here, which is reframing, what we're doing now. You have a full screen display, 360 view, so you can see the whole both aspects of the camera. If you're editing, for example, if you're editing and trying to output the whole 360, probably not a good idea for a video. Certainly not a video that I would use. So what I generally do is leave it on that. If you want to edit the keyframe that you've done already, you just click on it and it will highlight. You can remove it by clicking the X underneath. You can, of course, change the options. If you decided that you didn't really want that to start facing that direction, you could actually change it around so it faces me. Bear in mind that you do need to check this button again. So let's play, see what we've got. Okay, here's my salmon. What we can do is actually make this a little bit shorter, because I actually don't start speaking until a little way in. So about there. Now we have two buttons here. One is trim the start of it. So we'll bring the start up to there. It doesn't move the keyframe, and because it's outside the frame area, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that the but you can actually move it if you wish. And of course, if you go to the end and you wanted to make it a very short video, you would click the trim end. There is no way currently to trim out a section of video. So if I wanted this bit here to be removed, you couldn't do that. Two more functions: the deep track, which I've not actually had any reason to use yet, but you could if you wish. So for example, you could highlight your face and it would start tracking. So if you move the camera around, whatever, then it will move the display to show your face. And of course you can center the target if you wish to, in the middle. So we're not going to do that. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need that. There is another time shift function that I haven't used. Again, no cost to use it. Motion blur, again, no cost to use that option. There is a full screen mode. Obviously that displays everything with no icons and no menu bar. So if you're editing videos, you can actually see the video itself. There is a option. Of course, if you do that, then it removes the zoom setting, which is annoying. You can take a snapshot of the current screen. So if you were going to do a thumbnail, for example, you could do that. And then we have a 16:9 ratio, so you could change the ratio to a different shape. Not sure what options we have. So if you were doing TikTok, you could probably do a 9:16, and that's the vertical upright one. But we'll leave it on 16.9 there. Up here we have various options. This is stitching, normal stitching as usual, but if you have a lens guard, you can actually tell it that you've got one, or if you're using a dive case, in or out of water, doesn't matter which, and there's a custom option that allows you to go up to 7. I am not sure what that does, because I've used it and it really didn't make any difference whatsoever. I do have a slight issue with my stitching, because I use the Rode Go on the side, and the cables do move into shot sometimes. Occasionally you can see it like a black mark down the side here, so I don't know if it actually makes any difference. These options here for stitching, optical flow is on and chromatic calibration is on. I leave them as they are. Dynamic stitching on, it removes the optical flow. So I'm not sure how that would be advantageous. And then of course you can, if you change any options, you can calibrate the options there. We have a media processing. These are various image things. Obviously this one, Aquavision, is for when you're in water. I have used these options. I always leave it on off for now, but if it's if you're in a noisy environment, you can get it to focus on your voice alone, or you can get it to reduce noise in the background, so it depends on your environment. Loop, logo settings. This puts a little logo on your video. I'm not actually used it, because I will put my logos after the fact when I edit the video in Olive. But you could, if you wish, you could have a logo. It will tell you the size and where. I don't know, but you don't get much choice about exact place. So at the moment it's bottom, and you can make it into a feathered radius corner, and you can actually turn the logo around. So if you had a sideways logo, logos are 500 by 500 generally, and of course if you use the radius, then you'll make it into a circle, as we see. So if we select one, I don't know if it's going to actually appear on the video. As I say, I don't use a logo. File property, though, this video settings and size. This obviously is only 3.44 gigabytes, because it is only 4 minutes. It's got 120 megabits per second, and 30 frames per second. Duration 4 minutes. So there you go. Obviously the camera hardware is I haven't updated my camera yet, and there we go. So that's essentially the various things, and if you come over to here, it's all repeated. So the various things that you have, editing, there are a couple of options there, settings, preferences for the actual program itself, to do with codecs, hardware acceleration, image processing, file paths, so your so your project locations you have here, which make that a bit smaller. You can see the makes a file and the folder, and there's nothing in there apart from the file that they need. So this is actually the storage file, but how you find out what they are referring to is actually quite difficult. But obviously this is Insta360 Studio and Project folder, and then all of your files that you've ever done will appear in here. So I have no idea, presuming that you could double click that, but I'm not going to double click it. And of course the export file path, which you can set for every time, or you can just have a general general path file folder. Use the current preview, the current path, custom path is for screenshots. So I'm going to change that to make it save, because I haven't done any screenshots since day 5. Some other things, so you can have it detect if you plug in your camera, and it will ask you to load the files from your camera. Right, so let's look at editing. So I have selected the beginning of the clip. We can play. Okay, here's my salmon. Now, when you do this, if you want to then move your camera, you obviously stop the video, move the picture around to where you need it to go. For example, focusing on the meal, then you can click your keyframe, or Control K, I believe. Spacebar is start. -1 chip. And of course the keys are shown on screen. I believe. You have that there. Not showing all the keys. Oh, they were nice. They were really good last night. Okay, so if you happen to move if you want to move the picture, for example, so I want to slide that up. So if you remember, you're here. So this is the gone from the beginning. You'll see that if you go back to the beginning and play. Okay, here's my. Now we have a slight issue that we need to move this because it is going from there to this position. So as you can see, it doesn't face me at the moment. It should actually face me, but it's not. Okay, here's my salmon. So what I've done is I've made a fatal error. I've forgotten. This is vitally important that before you move your camera position, so let's go back to the beginning. Play. Okay, here's my salmon. Okay, so I want it to stay there facing me, so I have to do the keyframe, and then give it a little bit of distance, and then move the output picture to where I want it to be showing, and click the keyframe. Now I'll show you what happens. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, here's my salmon, and then it turns.
-1 chip.
Then
-1 chip.
I have to be aware that if I want it to remain.
I don't know, nice chips last night.
Oh, they were nice. They were really.
Now what I can do is just make sure that that is in the middle, and then click the keyframe again, so that it moves round,
-1
and
chip.
this
-1
will
chip.
stay in the centre of the screen, because I'm moving the camera slightly with my hands.
Oh, they were nice. They were really good that night. They were really.
Now there's obviously a lot of background noise, so from here I'm fed up with looking at the food, so let's now come up.
What's that?
Because there's a lady there, and we can actually have this with natural view. You have to forgive the fact that this is a very dark video. It's very grainy because it was obviously filmed at night in a bar, restaurant.
They were really good that night. They were really.
And then we
What's
move.
that? Salmon.
Now we can actually go from there. We have another hold point, and then we can zoom in to see the end result. There. Oh, wrong button. I didn't want to do that. It's automatic for me to do that, and it's very annoying. Because obviously every time you want to do it, you have to do it. Remember to click it, and of course I forget that you can't click it because it will zoom out. I mean, if you want it showing that zoomed, unfortunately you can't.
Really good that night. They were really.
So
What's that? Salmon.
come in and zoom in.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. It's very shaky because I am handheld, which is something I have a tripod there, but I moved it off the table.
Wow, that looks really good.
Right, happy with that, and we can then end it there. We can actually go out, come out, natural view. We've got a waitress coming there, so from that position we can come out, and we have a particular movement over to the other side. So what we can do is we can come to about there, move it round, and click, so that when we have this here, that follows the plate, which is Lamu. Probably gone a bit too far, so we can readjust that. Again, we can have if we want to, we can have that coming in. Just check it out. Lamu means pork.
Lamu.
That's my wife, by the way. So we've had that. We've gone from there. We can come, give it a bit out, come round, natural view. So we've got now that there.
Lamu.
Hold it. Probably made that a bit shorter, so drag that across, and then take that. Okay. Now the problem with this is there's no cut transition. You can't cut from one direction to another, so you either have to do that in another application, or you have to give it so that basically smoothly turns. There is an infinite limit to the quickness of it because it does actually make it look very, very disjointed if you try and do it too quickly. And of course, if I try and add a keyframe, so I get it slightly in there. If I go for a keyframe just there, sometimes it won't let you do it. But there are now two keyframes very, very close together. The only way you can actually see them is to zoom further in, and now you can see that they're very, very close. So if I go and drag that up to there, it won't let me do it. You cannot have two close together or even on top of each other. So if I make this, for our purposes, just a quick over there, and then try and show you what happens if it's like a very quick movement. And if you incorporate that with the previous, yeah, so it doesn't look natural transition. So that's obviously one of the many drawbacks as far as this application is concerned. Likewise, there's only one timeline. It would be very nice to have 2 or 3 that you could put other things on, like wording, text. You could have your own logo. I use my own logos on the final output, and of course you can't do that until later. So this we have going from there to there. We can, it's nice, we can hold it to about there and then take it round to me, get a natural view, and because I'm actually holding the camera too close to me, it's actually, it's nice, but it can be a little bit spicy. Yeah. Now to scroll across, as you see that there, when it goes off the edge of the screen, let me show you, it goes off the edge of the screen. It's nice, but it can be a little bit spicy. Another one of the bugs that really annoys me is that it doesn't move the timeline across. You have to do that manually, and you use the scroll wheel. So going up or down, and sometimes it's very difficult to find this cursor. It's going off screen, and then you end up having to scroll through, you know, right the way through, whatever. Can be very, very annoying not to be able to find. There should be I think there should be a way that you can click a button and it will go to the cursor position, and at least when it scrolls off, the whole thing should scroll across, I reckon. But you know, that's just me. So let's do that. And of course we don't want to look at me too much, not this close. So we'll lock that one off, and then we'll move it around. Get the other view there. So we have, at the moment, we have this sequence we can do. So going around. Going across it's nice, but it can be a little bit spicy. Yeah. I put too much in there, haven't I? Let's move that to so we have this sequence. It's nice, but it can be a little bit spicy. Yeah, it might be. Right, scroll across. Yeah. We can hold that for a little bit. Yeah. Give ourselves a little look at the food. Obviously, I'm holding the selfie stick. A little look at the food. Obviously, you can't do any of these. Natural view. I mean, it's Tiny Planet. I've shown you what that does. Crystal ball is very similar to that, and I don't know what the default is actually. I see it's just probably natural view. Oh no, 75. So it's normally if it's natural view, it'd be 90. There. So just a quick way of getting back to facing forward. So let's have
What else?
come there. So we've got to make it fairly interesting on this reframing. Let's do a shot of my missus talking on the phone.
What else? Something else as well, isn't it?
Rolling around. Scrolling around. Now remember what happens when we do that. So we've gone from one position to the other position. That will force the flow move around. So if we make it short, then it'll be quick, and if we make it longer, make it a bit longer.
You have lab move.
It goes slowly, running around. Hold it, and you can actually change the smoothness of the actual transition. I've never used these, but these are different options that you probably can do. Fade in, fade out, for example. Pretty smooth dissolve. So I presume that if you had a short gap, you could do one of these options. Obviously there's no cut option, which would have been nice if there was. So I don't use this. And if you've got it and you don't want it, then just click away on the timeline. Hold. And somebody's doing something with some beer. So let's have a look. Oh no, it's he's not doing anything with the beer, just putting it down. So let's have a look, let's check.
I can let you.
สเต็กนี่เจ้าเฮ็ดกินเองได้บ่ต้องทำ
It's a bit laborious when you have a
เฮ็ดกินเองได้บ่ต้องทำ
30-minute video.
I let you. Tap.
You can
I can.
yes
You can.
you looking you can
Like that. Let's try a transition, shall we? Fade in, slip out. What's that? Let's have a look.
you can
And I want this. And I want this.
เห็นบ่
Not. Oh, it didn't apply it. Let's try that. See what happens.
you can
And I want this. And I want.
Oh, it's not applied. Why is it not applied? Maybe. Oh, I don't know. Slip. Oh, it's because I'm clicking off on the timeline. That's why.
Return.
No, it's not. It's not doing it. Why is it not doing it?
And I want this, and I want this. Oi, 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 oi. Oi.
All right. Well, I don't know. It's not. I don't use it anyway, so not that bothered.
No, my steak. Oi, oi, oi. On this.
So here, she's about to eat my steak, so we can go up to see that about there. So what we have,
And I want this, and I want this. Oi, 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 oi.
and
Oi. No, my steak.
and then come round, have a look, see what's going on. Can do a scroll.
Oh.
งงมากเลยแต่นี่คือสเต็กขน
Now it's good.
มปังคือไม่กิน
Garlic bread. Is bread
อันนี้ผักผม
and garlic.
Some ladies
It depends.
My favourite.
It depends how they make it. If they make it proper,
กินได้ยัง
she's off on my food again.
อันนี้
make it proper.
Come down quick. So we should have,
If they make it proper,
กินได้ยัง
and then hold
ยัง
back up. So if you're really clever, you can actually just copy the copy this keyframe. It is obviously usual keys, Control C, copy, and we can paste Control V. I keep on banging the microphone. I do have a keyframe there, which I don't need. And trying to get rid of it. There it is. Oh, come on. There. Delete. Okay, so we should have the same
if they make it proper,
down.
sometimes it just. If they make it proper,
กินได้ยัง
sometimes it just not good.
And hold. Scroll
How's your
round.
steak?
Can do a little bit back from there.
How's your steak? Yeah, gammon.
Come across because it's an answer. We probably need a quick switch. Can zoom in as well. So
Yeah, gammon.
I've not got through yet. My
it's probably a bit quick. It's a bit quick.
Yeah, gammon.
I've not got through yet. My
Yeah, still on the old.
That would be ideal when there's the cut.
Still on the extras.
It's nice
อัน
and
นี้ก็ไม่
thick.
มี Vâng nào.
Huh?
And come out.
What do you want?
No, no, no.
No?
No.
No. Oh, you want nothing? Why are you pointing?
Rồi.
And the reply.
About
Come back a bit. Pop that.
about sauce.
Yeah.
Sauce for steak.
No, I don't have.
So we're still only just over halfway on this video. Of course, we're already quite a long way in on this. 43 minutes. Bloody hell. Right, okay. So it's going to take another, load of time. So what we're going to have a look at is, let's assume that this was correct and done. We obviously need to check it. Come out.
Okay, here's my salmon.
Make sure we're happy with
Minus one chip.
Minus
all
one
of
chip.
those camera angles.
You know, nice and chips last night.
Oh, they were nice. They were really good
Good idea
last
to
night.
put that
They
back
were
and see
really.
how far we've got to go.
What's that? Salmon?
Very nice. I like it.
Wow.
Left on.
Yeah. Wow.
Chickpeas.
Wow, that looks really good.
Quite happy with that.
Lamb. Lamb.
Đấy nha, tập nhớ bọc.
Smell nice.
It's nice, but it can be a little bit spicy. Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Yeah.
Đây tập nha, làm cắm vào rồi, còn có hả con đây đó.
What else? Something else as well, isn't it? So you have lamb.
Yes, làm muối đi quá thử. Steak.
I can let you.
สเต็กนี่เจ้าเฮ็ดกินเองได้บ่ต้องทำเจ้าทำเอง
I let you. Tap.
You can.
I can.
Yes.
You can.
You looking. You can.
And I want this. And I want this.
เห็นไหมเลยนะ
Oi! No, my steak. Oh.
ขนมปังจะไม่กิน
So
Garlic, bread.
I'm fairly happy with that. I mean, obviously the camera work is
It's bread
because I'm
and
handheld.
garlic.
And there's some amount of stabilisation that's going to solve that.
It depends how they make it.
And
If
it-
they make
it
it
is what it
proper,
is.
sometimes it's just not good. How's your steak? Yeah, salmon.
I've not got to yet. Smiling.
You're still on the old,
มีรสชาติเนาะ
still on the extras.
Nice and
นี่ก็ไม่
thick.
มีอะไรแบบพวกน้
Huh?
What do you want?
ำ no no
No?
no
No? Oh, you want nothing? Well, why are you pointing?
Right. About sauce.
Yeah.
Sauce for steak.
No, I don't have. Right, I'm going to get on and eat my salmon.
So that is basically when you've done, come over to the export. I always put this as high as it will go. Put your name in there if you want to change that. It will obviously the folder, and then you just click export, and hey presto, you get a file, and you can play with it because it is fairly high quality. And that is it. that is how you use the studio for reframing your videos. Hope you found it useful. Don't forget there will be more of these as we go through. And of course, if you have any questions, do feel free to ask. That's it from me. Have a good day.